Hey y'all, so I'm Avery and I just wanted to share something that I went through in my past, and I just really feel like God laid it on my heart that I need to share this, and hopefully some of you can relate. It might sort of help some of you with what you're going through if you are going through the same thing, but I just really feel like He put it on my heart to share with y'all, and I'm going to, and I'm really nervous and I'm scared to do this because I don't like feeling vulnerable and I don't like feeling weak and I don't want others to think that I'm weak, but I just really feel like He wants me to share this, so I'm just gonna go for it and tell y'all my story. But I guess it all started about 5 years ago is when it started, and I have struggled with depression, anxiety, eating disorders, and it's gotten a lot better. I'm not how I used to be, but I'm just gonna sort of touch like a little bit about each thing, and if anybody has any questions or they want to hear more about a certain topic, you can message me and I can either talk to you about it or I can make another video if enough of you want another video wanting more information about these things. But I'm just going to sort of touch a little bit about each one and sort of explain what I went through and what I did to get over it and get through it. But about 5 years ago is when it all started. So in high school, I got bullied a lot and I didn't have any friends. I was that little loner girl that didn't really go out. I spent all my nights at home. I was not the cool kid. I came home from school every single day crying most days. Like if I didn't have to call my mom to come check me out of school, then as soon as I stepped in the car, I started bawling my eyes out. I cried myself to sleep every single night, and this happened for about 2 years before my parents finally pulled me out of the school that I went to and I homeschooled, and I got so much happier when I homeschooled. But so that all happened because I got bullied, and I was just so sad. I felt 100% like so worthless and so not good enough for anyone. Like any negative thing that was said about me, I believed 100%. Like I felt like I was the ugliest person in the world. I am so ugly. Why would anyone ever think that I'm pretty? I felt so worthless. I felt like nobody wanted me here. I felt so fat. If I had a pimple, there was this one guy at school, if I had a pimple, he would pretend like he shot me, and my pimple was my bullet hole. So I never wanted to go to school with a pimple. I would have like beg my parents crying if I woke up and I had a pimple on my face. And I mean, I was 16. I was gonna have pimples. You're gonna have pimples if you're 16. I'm 20 and I still have them. But that was one thing, like I did not want to go to school if I had a pimple. But it was a lot of things that sort of added up on social media and in person at school. I just was so truly like unhappy and felt so unwanted, and that was just a really hard time for me. I got very depressed, and like I said, I cried myself to sleep every night. I didn't want to be here. I was very suicidal during that time, and I had like every night when I would say my prayers, I would just pray that I wouldn't wake up in the morning, because I truly felt like I didn't belong here. And I had the best family in the world. I love them so much, and they knew that I was upset, but I'm the type of person that I'm gonna have a smile on my face, and like you might know that I'm upset. Like my parents, my family, they knew I was upset. They didn't know the extent to how upset that I was though, because I would put on my smile and my brave face or whatever, and I don't like opening up and sharing my feelings. I don't want people to know how truly upset and how hurt that I was during that time. So my parents didn't know the extent. So before any of you want to say parents should have known, your family should have known, they wouldn't have known, because I hide that kind of stuff. I keep all of those feelings to myself. So every night I would pray that I wouldn't wake up, that He would just take me in my sleep. And then it got to one night, I had everything planned out. I was going to kill myself that night. I was just completely ready to leave this world because I did not feel like I belonged here. I felt so worthless, and I felt like nobody would, like, that's what I was supposed to do. I was so lost, and I don't know how to explain it. It was the worst feeling, like, looking back at it now. I know that that's not true, but at the time, that's how I felt, that nobody would care. Like, I just need to leave. That's how I felt. But anyways, I had it all planned out. I was sitting on my bed with everything, and my friend called me, and it was like midnight. It was unusual for her to call me that late, and she just says, Avery, I don't know why I'm calling you, but God put it in my heart, and he told me to call you right now, and he told me to tell you that you're worth it and that you are loved, and he has a bright future for you. And I broke down. I mean, there is no way anybody would have known. Like, I didn't tell anyone what I felt like. I didn't tell anyone I was thinking about this type of stuff. But I broke down when she called me and said that, because that was God working through her. And I am forever thankful for that, because I know without a doubt, 100%, if she would not have called me that night, then I wouldn't be here right now and sharing my story with all of you. And so I'm forever thankful for that. And I will never question anything. Like, I know God spoke through her that night, and I'm forever thankful. So my parents realized that I was more upset than usual, so they took me out of the school that I was going to, and I started homeschooling. I homeschooled my senior year. During that time, I was still depressed. I got a lot better, but I struggled with those thoughts. I struggled with anxiety. I would have panic attacks. And if you don't know what a panic attack is, I'm not speaking for everyone, but this is how it was for me. So you feel like you're dying. My hands would get stuck like this, and my toes would sort of move and get stuck also. And I am in a ball on my side, crying, shaking, cannot stop. I feel like I am about to throw up everywhere, like full-blown panic attack, shaking, cannot stop. I can't breathe. Like, it's scary. It's scary when you have them, and it got to where I was having them every single night, and I was not sleeping at all. I would have them driving down the interstate. I'd have to pull over on the side of the road because I'm having one. I would have them at work, and I wouldn't let anyone know. I'd just go to the bathroom, and I would be in the bathroom for a little bit because I'm laying on the floor crying and having a panic attack. But there was nothing, like, I couldn't stop myself. I couldn't control them. And then, so that got to the point where I ended up having to get put on medication, and I'm going to get to that. But, so I talked about depression and anxiety. I also struggled with an eating disorder. So I struggled with anorexia. It's like I said, I did not feel pretty. I felt like I had to be a size 00 in order to be pretty and for someone to think that I'm beautiful. I just felt so, I don't know, not always, but I felt so fat, and I felt so, like, unwanted, and so I wanted to feel pretty. So I would starve myself. I wouldn't eat all day. I'd eat a tiny meal, and then I would work out like crazy to make sure that I burned all the calories from that meal during my workout. And it got to the point where I got really sick from doing that. And it's something that I'm not gonna say like I still struggle with it. It's not bad like it was, but I think it's something that I'm sort of always gonna have, like, those thoughts in the back of my head. Like, I do eat now. I make sure that I eat 3 meals a day and all of that good stuff. But I do think it's something that you're always gonna sort of have those thoughts in the back of your head. But it's gotten a lot better. But I would, every single day, multiple times a day, I would stand in front of a mirror and I would pick out every single thing I did not like about myself. And this was so unhealthy, but I would do it. I would stand there, and like if I had a pimple on my face, I'd point that out. My teeth aren't perfectly straight, I'd point that out. My forehead's huge, my nose is huge, like I have a lazy eye, eyebrows are uneven. anything and everything I picked out, and I felt so ugly. Like, I never thought that I was pretty. And I would find, like, if I bent over and I had like a little roll, that means I'm so fat. If I am not wearing a 00 and I'm wearing a 0, then that means I'm so fat. And so I would starve myself until I felt good about that one thing. But then I would always find another thing to think is not good enough and not pretty enough. And so I just never felt truly good enough for anyone or pretty enough. I thought, I will never get a boyfriend because I'm not pretty enough and I'm not skinny enough and I'm broken and damaged, and no one would want a girl like that. The list goes on and on. I truly felt like, you know, that Disney princess where there's the tower, and I think it's Rapunzel, pretty positive. Don't hate on me if I don't know my princesses and I got it wrong. But she's at the top of the tower and she's locked up there and she's looking down at everything. I felt like I had that same tower, like, in my life, but I was at the very bottom of the tower and I was looking up, but I couldn't see the light at the top of the tower. Like, I was so low down there that there was no light at the top. There was no getting out of it. That's how I felt. Like, I felt so alone and broken, and just, that's just how I felt. I was at the bottom of that tower and there was no light at the top. I had hit rock bottom. But that's how I felt during that time. And it got to the point, like I said, I got put on medication for it. And the medication made everything worse. And that medicine, like, it works for some people, but some people it does the exact opposite for, and I was one of those that it did the exact opposite for. It did not help with my panic attacks. It didn't help with my depression. It made everything worse, and I got suicidal again. And I was having panic attacks more often. And, like, I would be able to tell I'm about to have a panic attack, but there was no stopping it. I would still have them the same amount of times as I was having them before put on the medication. And before getting put on the medication, I was still depressed, but I wasn't suicidal, and the medicine made me suicidal again. And so I got taken off the medication, and I started talking to my Aunt Janet, and she has helped me so much. She has made me realize so many things, and I want to share those things with y'all because I want you to know, if you're feeling like that, or you have felt like that, or you feel like you're that person stuck at the bottom of the tower and there's no light at the top, I promise you, you are gonna make it out. There is a light at the top, and your future is so, so bright, no matter how old you are, boy or girl, whatever. Like, I promise God is going to use you, and God has given you that hardship that you're going through. That's going to be your story, and you're going to be able to talk to so many people and to reach so many people through this story. So please, I promise, do not give up. I promise it's going to get so much better. So I'm going to sort of share a few things that my aunt helped me, what she did for me, and how it sort of helped me slowly pull those bricks off the tower and work my way out of it. So I'm going to share those with y'all, and I really hope that it can help some of you, or all of you, if you have anything. Like, I want it to be able to help y'all. But I do want you to know, anything that you have, like any negative thought that you have, it's Satan. God does not say anything negative about you. God died for you, knowing all of the sins that you were going to do, and Jesus died for you for that, because he knew the sins you were going to do. He knew every wrong that you were going to do, and he knew how bad it was, but he died for you still because he loves you that much. And so he loves you. You're not unloved. Your family loves you. Your friends love you. And I want you to know, like I said, any negative thought, that's not coming from your Father. That's not coming from God. That's coming from Satan. And you just need, anytime you need to control your thoughts, is how my aunt said it. Be in control of your thoughts. So if you catch yourself, like I'll share through my experience. So I would have thoughts, you're not pretty, you're not worth it, you're fat. You would catch that thought and you would address it. You have to say it out loud, speak it out loud. And I would say, Satan, that's not true. I am beautiful. God is in me, and I'm capable of everything. He will never leave me, so I'm not alone. He calls me beautiful one. What you're saying about me isn't true, Satan, and I rebuke you. And so I would say that every time I got a thought. If he told me I was fat, God doesn't say that about me. God doesn't put a negative thought in my head. Satan, that is you, and I'm telling you to get out. And I rebuke you, Satan. That is not what my Father says about me. And so I would do that. Every single thought that I had. And when I started being in control of my thoughts, let me tell you, I was talking all day long, rebuking Satan and getting those thoughts out of my head. But once you start to do that, you get that little sense of like you're in control and you have some power there. And it feels good, let me tell you. Because when you feel so like alone and broken and you're starting to realize why it was, and you realize that it's Satan and that's why you feel like that, you get mad at him, and it feels so good to be like, I rebuke you, I'm telling you to leave. That is not true. That's not what my Father says. And so it feels so good when you do that, and so I definitely recommend you doing that. You will feel a million times better. So that's one thing that helped me a ton. And I still, like, to this day, if you have a thought, like, even if you are healed and you're not depressed anymore, you're not how you were, and you'll have those thoughts because we're human, and Satan is always constantly trying to get in your head, and he wants you on his side. He does not want God to win this battle, so he's going to do everything he can. He's going to try to creep his way back in. When you're feeling happy and you're feeling good, he's going to creep himself back in, but you just got to tell him, like, no, that's not true. I rebuke you. I tell you to leave. That's not what my Father says to me. That's not what he says about me. And so I still, to this day, I'm doing that. But let me tell you, knowing what it is a game changer. So my Nana always told me, kick Satan in his teeth. And so I feel like anytime I'm telling him to get out, and that's not true, I feel like I'm just kicking him in his teeth, and it feels good, okay? But another thing that she told me, I call myself a nerd because I like to write everything down, and I have everything planned out. I have a calendar, like, I write everything down. So I had my little prayer journal, and I would write down every single thing that I thought negative about myself. Every single thing that I felt like wasn't good enough, wasn't like anything, just not good, I would write down in that notebook. And then I found a scripture to go with each of those negative things that I thought about myself that was the truth of, like, that's not what he says about me. That is a lie that Satan put in my head. And so that helped. And then I would write down my prayers. So I would pray, like, out loud before I would write down, and I would pray that God would just speak to me during that time and let me know what he wanted me to address, because I had a bunch of different things that I needed to address. And I would pray that he would pick which one for me to address. And so I would just start writing, and I would write down why I feel the way that I do. And at the time, I didn't realize it, like, when I'm writing. So I would write everything out, why I feel the way that I do. And then I would write, but God says this about me. God says that I am loved, that I am worth it, and he died for me. And I would just sort of write down why I felt that way and why that's not the truth, why that was Satan that was in my head. And I would, in the writing, like, I would realize, okay, that's clear as day, that's what Satan says, and this is the truth. But reading some of them back, like, I would always read them back, and I would read them out loud, and I would see how God was speaking through me, like, writing through me, because reading it, there was no way that I would say some of the things that I put in that, like, writing. Like, I would not have said that about myself. I wouldn't have, just the way some things were worded, I could tell God took over, and God was writing right there, and he was speaking to his child, and it really helped me. So those are the main three things that I've always done since she started working with me. and they have helped a lot. I still will speak scriptures, and I'm really big on you say everything out loud, and you tell Satan that he has no chance here. Like, the battle is already done. Satan, he has lost, and he is done. Like, God is in control of this, and there is no way Satan has a little glimmer of a chance. And so I would always say that out loud, and I would tell him that I rebuke him, and he has no control over me. He has no power in my life anymore, and that everything that he has done to me is getting healed by my Father, and he's just going to kick him in the teeth with me. God's going to kick him in the teeth with me, and there is no chance that I am going to be like that, and I'm going to be sad anymore, and I'm going to be happy. And I promise, doing those things help. Some of them might sound stupid. They might sound like there's no way that would help, but I promise you they help so much. So I definitely encourage you, if you're going through anything like that, or you feel any way like negative about yourself or anything, that you try doing those things. And I am always here. You can message me. I will help in any way that I can. And if I don't know the right thing to say to you, I will find someone and I will talk to them, and I will find a thing to say to you. Or I can give you the number of someone to call that could help more than I could if I can't help you. But I definitely want all of you to know that you are so loved, you're so beautiful, you are so worth it, and God loves you, and Jesus died for you because he wants you here. So please, please, please do not give up. If you feel a certain way, I promise it is going to get better. It's going to get better. He is going to use you, and that is going to be your story, and you are going to be able to speak to so many people, and that's all he wants. He is teaching you right now. You are learning, and you are going to come out so much stronger at the end of this. And so please do not give up. You are so loved and beautiful, and he's going to use this. I know I heard it too while I was at that time, like, really upset. I would hear it's going to get better, and you don't believe it. I never believed it, at least, but I promise it does. Please don't give up. And like I said, I'm always here. You can always message me. I will be praying for all of you if you ever have any questions, or if you want me to sort of go more in depth about my depression, eating disorders, suicidal stuff, anxiety. Like, you can message me and I would love to talk to you about it. I can make other videos if you want to hear more in depth about them. Just y'all let me know. And thank you for listening to this, and I pray that you were able to learn one thing from it. It was able to help you in any type of way, and I just hope all of y'all have a great day, and I'm praying for you, and just remember you're loved and you're so beautiful and strong.